One of the good questions that I get asked in my learning course quite often is about the heritability of intelligence, or that is, how much of our intelligence is determined by our genetics versus our environment. And so today I thought I'd tell you just a little bit about that. The way that we look at heritability is by examining primarily twin studies, although this can also be done with sibling studies, etc. But one of the strongest forms of evidence we have for heritability is with twin studies. And so with twin studies, what we do is we compare identical twins who are raised together to fraternal twins who are raised together. So think about this. Identical twins raised together have exactly the same genes, exactly the same environment. They should have pretty similar intelligence. But then when we look at fraternal twins, these are individuals who have the same environment or very, very similar environments, right? Born at the same time to the same parents in the same household. But their genes are not as closely aligned as they are with identical twins. So the only difference between identical twins and fraternal twins raised together is genetics. And so if we see any difference between these, we know that that is genes playing a part. Okay. Separately, we can look at identical twins raised together in the same home and identical twins raised apart. Now, this does happen sometimes where identical twins are split at birth and raised in two different households. Looking at these two groups, they have identical genes. The only difference is their environment. So here we can start to see whether or not there's an impact of environment on intelligence. Now, in both of these situations, the identical twins raised together have a stronger correlation between the two for intelligence. It means that there are both components for genetics as well as for environment. In fact, what we see is it's about 50-50. 50% of our intelligence, as measured by an IQ test, and that is important here, is determined by our parents. And we don't have much to do with that, right? We can't really change that. And then about 50% has to do with our environment, whether we have an enriching environment or a malnourished environment, et cetera, et cetera. But all of those kinds of environmental things have about a 50% impact. Now, there's also been research looking at that environmental impact. Like, can I make my kids more intelligent? And the answer is yes and no. So what they found is that bad environments where kiddos are deprived of things growing up, diminishes intelligence. But the opposite doesn't seem to be true. It is not as if in a good environment, now I'm going to give my kids all this extra stuff. Now they'll be more intelligent. That doesn't have as big of an impact. So as long as you are doing a decent job, right? As long as you're giving kiddos what they need, you shouldn't worry about this. As long as we are not, again, depriving our kids, likely that environmental impact is going to be okay. Okay, so that's what we know about kind of the nature versus nurture of intelligence.